In case you're interested for a semester abroad, you can ask David for information, stuff like that. Good. David, the stage is yours.
Okay, hi. As Ms. Jessica already told, I'm David, and I spent the last semester in Ireland, so don't expect too much. My topic is automated website evaluation. What I did is I made a web application that automatically evaluates the quality of websites just by looking at them. So my project is called Rieger, and more technical details will come later. First thing, before I start off, what I actually did, I want to tell you who uses that, who would use that. My web application would be useful for business owners. Everyone who has an e-commerce platform could benefit from my software. Business owners could evaluate their website and assess whether it is successful in the market. Web designers, obviously, they could see how the website is doing and what they could improve. That is, how they could improve the design in order to get more customers on their page. And of course for everyone else, because this software is open for everyone. Everyone could use it. So it will be interesting for students as well, everyone who's interested in web metrics, who's doing a survey whatsoever. Well, there comes the question, aren't there already services like Google Analytics and stuff like that that you could use for that? Because Google Analytics is their software to evaluate websites. But the answer is no, because it's a completely different concept. Google Analytics works in the website, so in order to run it, you need to install something, or you need to implement the plugin on your website. So the web designers have to implement something so that Google Analytics works. Well, my software works from external viewpoints. That means my software is running on an external web server. You just enter the website name you want to evaluate, and this happens automatically without the web owner ever getting any knowledge of them, except for server logs and stuff like that. It's very quick, so you enter the website name, and in a couple of minutes, or maybe even seconds, if the target website is small, you get a result. It is consulting. That means my software tells you, as the user, or as the business owner, or as the web designer of the target website, what to improve. So I can tell you, my software tells you what your website does, and how it's doing in the market, how it's doing as a website. And it offers you suggestions how to improve it. It's also retentive, which means it stores the data, and you can see the history of how your website improved. That means like you did an evaluation now and improve your website according to my results, and a couple of days later or months later or whatever, you do the evaluation again and you get a history and you see how you improved. It's also business oriented because you can technically use it for every web page, but it's specified on e-commerce platforms. That's why it's interesting for the industry. Okay, a little about the theory. Before I can implement the software, I need to know, first of all, what is relevant to be evaluated, what can I actually see from external viewpoints, because obviously I can't get things like page visits or bounce rates or conversion funnels. That's not visible from the outside. So, like Google Analytics could give that data, but my software can't. That's a disadvantage, obviously, but I just told you there are a lot of advantages as well. So once we know what we have to evaluate, we need to find the key performance indicators on this website. We need to know how to interpret these indicators, and we need to know what we should tell the user. And the user, again, is either the web designer or the business owner of the target website. And we need to tell them what they should improve on the website. And last but not least, we obviously need to check the technical details, and we need to know how the software acts. If I want to get some more information on my research project, I made a diary that depicts all my research results and how I conducted the research. It's available on www.terry.info/BAC1. Okay, so let's come to my results. What do I consider in my evaluation? First of all, performance. It's important that websites act fast, because users would be annoyed if websites respond slowly, or if a product catalog or whatever takes ages to load, that just annoys the user and they will eventually go off the page and not use your web shop and therefore not consume it. Then of course usability. We need to know, is the navigation right? Are objects on the page arranged correctly? That's something we can easily evaluate from the outside just by looking at the HTML code. We can do investigations on search engine optimization. We can see how web page is doing on search engines. My concept here is that a business owner know how they would like to be found on the internet. And with this information, like if the business owner gives us his address and the keyword he would like to be found on the internet, we can see how well this is actually doing, and we can give him improvement suggestions. For example, by adding keywords onto your web page in hyperlink tags or in the content text or whatever, search engines can easily find your web page by those keywords. Also, the social aspect is important. Nowadays, it's very important for businesses to have social media connections, so we check if there is Facebook, fast link or whatever. Last but not least, the legal implications. Does the website have all the requirements that are legally have to be there, like, for example, contact information and an imprint? Okay, now a little to technical implementation. I use a web framework for Java, which is called Java Play. It's a super simple web framework that was developed by web developers, so it's pretty easy to use, especially if you want to do REST services or something like that. It's also non-blocking, and I use that feature a lot. Non-blocking requests, that's something that's very important for me. Because the evaluation, as I told you, might take a minute or something. And you enter the website name, and you hit enter, and you don't want to wait a minute for an HTTP response, because who knows what happens. Like if the connection breaks or something, the evaluation would just be useless. So what I do is I send the request, the user sends the request for an evaluation and immediately gets a feedback. But the feedback is not yet the evaluation result because that's still computed on the server. It's just a so-called ticket, and this ticket gives the user a number, and with this number you can later check his evaluation result. This of course is all automatically done by the client side. I have a public REST API, which means that you, as developers, are invited to work on this project and develop your own client sites. Also, business owners or web designers could use my software with this REST API to integrate the data that I deliver into their own software. So you're not depending on my client implementation. Very important, it's open source on GitHub, so again, you're invited to develop. There are a lot of features that are not yet implemented, and I would love to see this project be continued. Okay, thank you for this. I just want to show you a small demo video. Okay, that's the web application, how it looks right now, like right now. So you enter the URL of the website you want to evaluate, press evaluate, and then the process is started. And you get some small information on what it is doing right now. And depending on how big the web page is in the background, you get now the results. You get usability results, you get performance results, search engine optimization results, and there are lots of modules yet to be added. Furthermore, you can open a history which shows how the web page progressed. Obviously, since that diagram is not really interesting because it's just the same result over and over again because it hasn't really changed. But you get the idea. Like, if I do an evaluation here and get poor results for this category, and I can improve something and later evaluate it again and improve this evaluation results, and I will see that here and see that it actually happened. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. And now we come to our next international student here for today.